Hard Knocks, KK the Destroyer here with your playoff preview. Jumping right in, we have the Dolphins, 5th in rushing yards per game, with a top 10 defense and a three-headed monster between Miller, Trey Mason, and Ryan Tannehill. These three are doing damage throughout the league rushing. And then they have the receiving duo of Devontae Parker and Jordan Cameron. They seem to be the two targets he likes best, with Cameron with 48 catches and Parker with 42. And overall, seems to spread the ball around fairly well. Nobody with huge amount of yardage. Like I said, Cameron and Parker both with the 6 touchdowns apiece. You can kind of see where he likes to go there. And then moving to his opponent, we have the Chiefs. Right here we will start with Alex Smith. And it looks like Matt Scott had a brief stint at quarterback. Must not have worked out too well, or maybe just injuries there. But the Chiefs sit top 5 in rushing yards, points per game, and total yards. But they're pretty average at passing, 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 INTs. Not terrible. But truly, it just comes down to Jamal Charles here. 248 attempts, 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns. Pretty much just like real life. You got Jamal Charles is the tool that this offense runs through. As far as the passing game goes, he leads the team with receptions, right there next to Macklin and Kelsey. So pretty much just like real life Chiefs. You got Charles and Kelsey leading the way. Kelsey seems to be leading in touchdowns. However, just Charles catching balls out of the backfield, making plays happen. I mean, between his 1,700 yards rushing and nearly 600 yards, I mean, 2,300 yards total offense. What do we got? 4 touchdowns receiving, 18 total touchdowns. And then he's even got Niles Davis here, 10 touchdowns. So just a massive amount of yards on the ground. So this matchup looks to me like the Dolphins, in order to win this game, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to slow down the Chiefs' rushing attack. Jamal Charles, you're going to have to lock him up in the run game and in the pass game. And that would be my game plan going into this matchup. On the Chiefs side of the ball, they need to stop the three-headed monster of Tannehill, Miller, and Trey Mason, because those three guys are just getting it done as far as rushing totals go. And it seems to me like they have, a ton of yards between them. You got Mason with 828, Miller with 649, Logan Thomas with 229. That's like 23 touchdowns between the three of them, so it's obvious he wants to run the ball and has no problems doing it so far. Got some up-to-date information for you. The Dolphins-Chiefs game did get played tonight. Final score, Dolphins 38, Chiefs 14. And much to what I was saying earlier about trying to stop this three-headed monster, looks like the Chiefs were unsuccessful in doing so. You got Trey Mason with 16 carries, 73 yards. Logan Thomas, 11 carries, 64 yards. And Lamar Miller, 3 carries, 81 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So right there you got over 200 yards rushing, and the Chiefs just didn't seem to have an answer for it. Logan Thomas going 13 of 16 for 261 yards, 3 touchdowns. Seems like the Dolphins offense really came together for this game. On the Chiefs side of the ball, you had Alex Smith with 3 interceptions. Not really much on the ground as far as rushing goes, but I'm sure that's the nature of the game he was in. Really totaling not much over 40 yards in total rushing. And just looks like turnovers really wound up costing the Chiefs this game. So, looks like Dolphins punched their ticket. They're going to the divisional round. Moving on to the Steelers. We have the Steelers going... There we go. Steelers going up against the Jags. And the Steelers are hovering right around league average as far as offense goes. No real standouts as far as their offense goes. And then they're top 10 in defense. So doing solid work on defense. Top 7 in rushing yards. So rushing the ball seems to be what they like to do. And then the other bright spot on their offense is Martavis Bryant sitting on 1,100 yards and 11 TDs on the year. Defensively, they got Kuechly and Shazier, both 8 and 7 interceptions respectively. So definitely got a nice little defense going for him. We got Roethlisberger with not great INT TD ratio here, basically 1-to-1. Not what you want to see, but still made the playoffs, so that's always a positive. Steelers did trade away Le'Veon Bell this year. Looks like they acquired Giovanni Bernard to kind of fill that hole. Didn't seem to really be too big of a deal for them since they're obviously still seventh in rushing. So they got it done with like kind of a running back tandem of Bernard and Archer. So that seemed to work out well for them. Obviously, we spoke about Martavis Bryant. Bryant sitting there, 49 catches, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. So doing really well. Looks like he spreads the ball around fairly well. So just a nice balanced offense overall. His opponent will be the Jaguars, taking that division by storm this year. Coach Thomas has done some nice things with his team, getting them to the playoffs. However, their offense is below average. So you're talking, you know, basically bottom 20s on offense. But don't let it fool you. Their defense is still top 15, and they're still getting it done. Finished the season strong and a playoff berth with a young Jacksonville team. Nothing to scoff at. Get into their running back situation. You got T.J. Yeldon with 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. So nice, solid performance for a rookie. Not enough to get him the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, I don't believe. Receiving wise, we got Allen Robinson with 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, and then Julius Thomas and Yeldon bringing up the rear with the remaining targets. So it looks like Robinson is his favorite target to go to. But beyond that, then we go. I would say we get to the matchup and like what these teams have to do to win their matchup this week. On the Steelers side, I would say they just need to clamp down on offense and really limit the Jaguars because the Jaguars don't necessarily blow anybody away with their offense. However, their defense is solid. So if the Steelers can really just limit that offense, shut down Allen Robinson, and just keep them struggling, then think they have a really good chance of winning this game. And then all they have to do is limit the number of turnovers that the Steelers themselves commit, because that's always going to be key no matter what game you're playing. On the Jag side of the ball, my first thought would be you have to stop Martavis Bryant. I mean, that's obviously his solid target that he likes to go to, and then you're still going to have to slow down his rushing attack. So if you can do a little of both, but I would definitely lean towards stopping Martavis Bryant, and then avoid the middle of the field like the plague. Kuechly and Shazier. Shazier's crazy fast, great agility, just probably all over the field, and then Kuechly is just dangerous. So I would avoid the middle of the field at all costs because turnovers are going to cost you the game in a situation like this. So they just need to be smart with the ball and just avoid the middle of the field. And hopefully their running backs don't get lit up by either one of those guys and cough up the ball because that's going to be key. On to the NFC. We have the Seahawks and the Lions. So the Seahawks, big surprise to no one, top 10 in defense, and they are ninth in total rushing yards with a top 10 offense. So not a real big surprise. Marshawn Lynch, 12 yards, 100, 1,400 yards rushing. Sorry about that. Let's go jump into the stats here real quick, so I'm not just going off the cuff here. So yeah, Marshawn Lynch, 12 touchdowns, 1,400 yards. So not a big surprise to see Marshawn Lynch carrying the ball for him. And passing wise, we got Russell Wilson, 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, 89 INTs. So doing a nice job. Pretty much a 2-to-1 ratio on his passing and interception ratio. So not a bad deal. Taking care of the ball there. Going into his receivers, looks like he spreads the ball around really well. So it looks like he's always finding the open guy. Does not have a favorite target on this offense, which I can't say that I blame him outside of Jimmy Graham. Surprisingly, Graham with 41 targets, not even his number one targeted player, but each of them 5+ touchdowns. So good luck picking one of these guys and deciding who to stop, because it looks like he spreads the ball around really well. His matchup will be the Lions. So let's see where the Lions are at today. 27 touchdowns, 59 Ts, so still taking care of the ball. Lions have a top 15 offense. Their defense, however, pretty middling. It's going to be middle of the pack. You know, probably the bottom 18 to 32 ranking. They have a balanced offense, and let's see what the rushing attack looks like. 1,000 yards for Jennings, 10 touchdowns, so solid. Joik Bell doing some work there. Probably getting the short yardage stuff. Receiving wise, Calvin with 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's a surprise. So it looks like a down year for Calvin, but still he is the favorite target there. Just only 10 more catches more than Ebron. And Ebron actually has more touchdowns. So, you know, it looks like he looks to find the open guy and doesn't force feed Calvin. So that's always a plus. So coming into this game for this matchup, I would say the Seahawks, they need to play the same game they've played all year and use the defense that got them there. So they play smart, run the ball with Lynch, and then put those opposing teams in tough situations and let that defense do what it does, because that defense is legit. On the Lions side of the ball, if I'm the Lions, I'm saying, you know what, I'm gonna stack the box and stop Lynch. Guys, obviously what their offense runs through, and then just don't make mistakes. That secondary is deadly, and I mean the whole defense is deadly. So it doesn't matter where you're at. You're just gonna have to make good reads and take the check down and target the open guy, and maybe just punt the ball away more often than not, and just don't make those mistakes that are going to cost you the game. Because the Seahawks are not a team that you can make mistakes against and expect to win. Last matchup in the wild card round, we have the Eagles and the Giants. Let's go take a look at the Eagles here. Sam Bradford, 31 TDs, 37 INTs, almost 4,000 yards. So it looks like he's not taking care of the ball that well, but he's still throwing a lot of touchdowns. Can't fault him for that. And he looks to be top 10 in points, yards, and passing yards, and 7th in rushing. Or 8th in rushing, I'm sorry. Their defense is the bottom half of the league, so they seem to give up a lot of yards and points and touchdowns. Their offense seems to move through DeMarco Murray, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns. They like to run the ball, looks like. I mean, between Murray and Sproles, you're sitting right there at about 1,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, and even Sam Bradford's gotten into the action a little bit. Receiving wise, he is their leading receiver at 58 catches. Ertz right behind him with 54. So DeMarco Murray sitting on probably 2,000 plus yards of total offense, and what's he got? 7 receiving touchdowns, 20. What is it? 23 total touchdowns. So Murray definitely the focal point of this offense, and he seems to spread the ball around pretty well. 50 plus for 4 top targets, and then 6 plus touchdowns for each target. So definitely does a nice job moving that ball. On the Giants side of things, let's go take a look at the Giants. let's see here. Offense and defense, both pretty much middle of the pack. Nothing really standoutish about the Giants. Johnny Manziel, 29 touchdowns, 26 interceptions. So, basically 1-to-1. Struggling at quarterback, but still getting the job done. You always like to see positive numbers on the touchdown side of things. Amir Abdullah, 945 yards. Langford, so not really a duo so much, but seems to move the ball pretty well and likes to run it for touchdowns. So must be run first when he gets right down onto the goal line, try to punch that in. Receiving, we have Ruben Randall and Mike Evans. So Evans obviously the main target here with 10 touchdowns, 1100 yards, 48 catches. Same with Randall. Um, spreads the ball around pretty well. And then let's see. Oh, another bright spot is the rookie Landon Collins at defense. He had 11 interceptions this year. Looks like 53 tackles. No, 94 tackles, 53 solo tackles. Um, Even got a half a sack and 11 INTs. So he did work for him this year. So I'm sure he will be a real legit threat as the league progresses. Little update here. This game got played. The Giants-Eagles game. Looks like the Eagles came away with a victory here, 34-24. Got to watch the second half of this game while I was doing my research here for this video. From what I could see, the Eagles definitely dominated on defense, which is a surprise given their bottom half ranking of defense. I saw several picks that took place and then also should have been picks, but just bounced off of his guy's hands. So looks like DeMarco Murray kind of had a down day, 19 carries, 82 yards. So not as big a day as he's been having. And looks like Sam Bradford kind of had a better day, 350 yards on 31 attempts with 2 touchdowns. So looks like the Giants keyed in and tried to stop Murray, and Bradford was able to punish him for it. Jordan Matthews leading receiver, 7 catches, 148 yards and a touch, and then Torrey Smith with 78 yards and a touch. So did what I kind of thought he would do, and that was spread the ball around, found the open guy, and then really just took advantage of the opportunities that the Giants gave him by turning the ball over. Looks like Johnny Manziel threw 2 interceptions and no fumbles, however. Just really couldn't get anything done. 8 of 18, 163 yards. Amir Abdullah had a decent day, 84 yards. So from what I watched of this game, it just really looked like it was about a 3-score game when I stepped in, 10-24, or maybe it was 10-27, I guess. But anyhow, so it just looked like the Eagles had this one well in hand and really just was able to just run out the clock on them. I mean, put up a score to finish the game at 34 points and gave up two touchdowns. One was a long draw that was just really a really nice run. Actually, 2 really big runs that I did see from Langford, and then one must have been Abdullah. But one really nice long run up the middle, and then he bounced one draw up the sideline, and I think almost scored on that one. So nice second half of the game that I got to watch. So that was exciting.